This week from DC Comics, it's the All-In special written by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson, art by Daniel Sampere, Wes Craig, and Dan Mora. I wasn't gonna do it. I wasn't. I was intentionally trying not to be an absolute nerd and come on here and talk about the next big restructuring DC event tie-in. But it's just too damn good not to talk about. First of all, the very simple fact that we have two of, if not the, most iconic DC Comics writers in the modern era teaming up together to write this pivotal plus-sized issue is almost a guarantee of its quality. Furthered by the unique, contrasting combo of Daniel Sampere and Wes Craig on art for both halves of this book. More on that later. Also, while we're on the subject of great artists, when are we going to talk about the fact that Daniel Sampere and Dan Mora have created the definitive look of DC Comics in the modern era for an entire generation of new readers? Like, that's all them. If you asked a younger person what DC Comics looks like, they would point to Dan Mora or Daniel Sampere artwork. Period. There are a myriad of details that make this special issue so engaging and laudable, but I think that the most approachable facet is that it is a true Justice League event, all tied up in a neat one-shot package. If you enjoy reading superhero stories with monumental, epic, universe-shattering stakes, then you can do no better than this event special, which includes just about every DC character that you can think of. What's more, this event does the hard work of layering a complex conflict and narrative that opens up an entire universe, which is a rare and commendable feat. In the modern era of rising comic book costs for every level of production, I can definitely envision a version of this story briefly summarized to much lesser effect at the beginning of each of the absolute titles that are set to release in just a few weeks. Thankfully, having been presented this fully fleshed out, artistically eloquent idea, I am even more invested in the future of DC Comics and this fledgling absolute universe. I should also point out that this positive perspective is coming from someone who has not cared for any of the recent DC event titles, which I found to be just too thinly plotted or melodramatic or soap opera-esque. But let's talk more specifically about this All-In special now, which means spoilers ahead. In the Alpha chapter of this special event, we see the harmonious union of all members of the Justice League. Indeed, the union of all of the relevant forces in the DC mythos at large, as the members gather to create a powerful new Justice League membership card that is going to be distributed to a broad new team. Superman reflects on the most recent DC Comics events, remarking that the Justice League has survived an increasing number of strange onslaughts from all new directions, and need to be different if they're going to survive more in the future. Thus begins a montage of new Justice League membership additions, which are all very fun and well-deserved, with a highlight on none other than Booster Gold. Booster Gold has historically been presented predominantly as a comedic character, a time traveler from the future who dreamed of being a hero in the golden age of heroes and then awkwardly inserted himself into the story he knew and loved. Which, let's be real, a lot of us comic book fans would do the same thing. Superman presents Booster Gold with his shiny new Justice League membership card. It triggers a memory of the future Hall of Heroes that Booster Gold used to work at, where he saw this specific membership card framed in order to honor the age of peace and prosperity that this card existed in brought. Booster also comments that in his unique position as a time traveler, he has noticed several artifacts that appear to be constants, like Batarangs, Green Lantern rings, his own Legion ring, and this Justice League membership card. Booster also uncharacteristically, or rather refreshingly, depending on how you look at it, levels with Superman, confessing that he has had reservations about his lingering presence in this timeline, pondering if it was time to finally return home. However, Superman's personal reassurance invigorates Booster. I mean, yeah, it would make me feel better. And he arrives later that day at the largest Justice League Watchtower space station ever constructed, which was teased at the end of Absolute Power, if I'm not mistaken. As I mentioned before, this Justice League Unlimited team comprises just about every DC Comics character that you can think of. It is truly nice to see. It legitimizes, in a way, a host of characters that have been traditionally sidelined. It is also really exciting seeing Mr. Terrific leading the welcoming ceremony, explaining the unique, hard-earned nature of this Justice League membership card, and the ceremonially blank one in front of him that is going to stand as a symbol for the future of the Justice League. Just a moment, it really does feel like the future is safe. That no threat could possibly overcome these bright, powerful, diverse heroes. But of course, the moment doesn't last. Suddenly, all the magic users in assembly are overcome by a disembodied voice proclaiming something related to Darkseid and the Spectre, before Omega beams erupt from their eyes in a destructive, disorienting spectacle that heralds the arrival of Darkseid. And it's not just any Darkseid, it is Darkseid, bonded with the primordial force of the Spectre, who is like death itself in the DC universe, and also he has an axe for a left arm. Which, needless to say, is an unexpected and peak character design. As the most physically powerful characters battle with the constantly disappearing and reappearing Darkseid, which is fucking terrifying, by the way, Booster confers with Mr. Terrific, who is just straight up unsure of how to stop Darkseid. Booster then watches in horror as the blank Justice League membership card transforms by the unholy energy crackling through the room, knowing that the future he has come from has been irrevocably changed. Magic users quickly confer in psychic headspace, which is just such an amazing image, by the way. Zatanna, Dr. Fate, Raven, and Deadman, all bound by an arcane symbol. While it is a relatively simple, condensed image on the page, it wordlessly conveys just how fucking serious this new version of Darkseid is if all of these powerful characters have to pool their resources together. Finally, Zatanna is able to imbue Superman with the magic capability to banish the trapped spirit of the Spectre in Darkseid, which kills Darkseid in the process. However, in his final moments with a stunning Kirby-esque 2-page spread, Darkseid thanks Superman with the chilling final words, "Darkseid ends." This feeling is only reinforced by the counterpart issue Omega in this special issue, which we've yet to talk about. But this story feels like the true, intended, natural evolution of Darkseid's character in a really inventive, touching way. I felt for some time that Darkseid's character is often used in DC in a haphazard or generic or shallow way as the typical big bad evil. So to see this bold, nuanced, entertaining new direction for the character, it makes me really happy. Treating Darkseid like a character, calling him by his own name even, Uxas, multiple times by the way, shows you how ambitious yet thoughtful this change is. In the final pages of Alpha, our heroes discuss Darkseid's disappearance, consulting with Orion, who confirms that Darkseid is in fact gone. But, he clarifies, the universe will choose a new soul to take his place. Is that the inciting incident of Ron V and Evan Cagle's The New Gods run? That is such a fucking cool starting point, are you kidding me? Anyway, Mr. Terrific and company continue to discuss the rift in time and space that Darkseid's disintegration has caused, as his energy is still rippling from the membership card, and determine that it is a doorway to a new alternate universe that is emanating Darkseid's familiar energy. Wonder Woman insists that they give chase, but Mr. Terrific cautions that only a being tempered with tachyon particles would be able to make the journey safely, which means it's Booster Gold's time to shine, baby! Booster careens across the waves of time and lands in a hellish, burning place without a way to contact the universe he's come from. Suddenly, Omega beams shoot towards him and the sky darkens with the shadows of approaching figures, one of which is wearing his universally constant Legion ring. But more on that after we talk about the next chapter of this magnificently intense All-In special in Part 2.